And the moment that I finished reading that account, something shifted inside my heart. I went from like unquenchable addiction to complete freedom. I no longer saw women for what they could do for me. Like, I know that's really hard to understand, but like I saw how beautiful they were and they were made in God's image. I no longer had lust anytime I looked at a woman. And I no longer had the desire to watch porn or masturbate to relieve myself of any pain that I experienced further in my life. Porn was part of my life starting at the age of 11 years old. I had been introduced to it by someone I knew close to me at the time, and I thought it was normal, but it was something that I didn't understand at the same time. You know, the people closest to me that I had confided in told me that it was okay and that masturbation was just a part of being a boy. It was normalized and seen as healthy for me to do. All my friends boasted about it, talked about it, and all the men in my life up until that point had consumed pornography at one point or another. But pornography skewed the way that I viewed women. You know, a lot of the women that I dated growing up were seen as just a way to gratify different desires that I had. And, you know, I would see women as objects and I would, you know, only want to be with them because I was attracted to them or because there was some form of something that I could do or that I could use for my own purpose. It had convinced me that, you know, women were to be used as objects, right? For sexual gratification and nothing more or less. It was honestly just an outlet for me. It was a coping mechanism to deal with my insecurities. And I don't know if I've shared this with you before, but I was bullied from fourth grade all the way up until my freshman year in high school. And I won't ever forget my freshman year in high school was really bad. I had someone come up to me in the football locker room and someone had hid someone else's helmet on top of the football lockers and I was showering. Of course, I was fully undressed and this bully came up to me and grabbed me by the throat and shook me and threw me to the ground in front of my whole team, and the coaches were standing in the back room. They couldn't see what was happening. And that was the most shameful and the most painful part of my growing up years. And porn was a way that helped me feel better about myself, about my rough circumstances. You know, like I said, all throughout middle school and high school, the sports teams were filled with other guys who discussed it. Coaches would often join in and talk about it. Porn was something that obviously I knew when I became a Christian was wrong, because it was lusting after a woman at its core, right? I knew that Jesus in the Bible told the disciples and told the people on the mountain that he spoke to and told the crowds that if you look at a woman with lust, it's not the act of adultery that is actually sinful, but it's even the heart intention. And it's even if I look at a woman with lust in my heart, I've already committed adultery in my heart. And so Jesus raises the standard higher and says, you think it's wrong to just sleep with someone else, but I say that it's wrong to even think about sleeping with someone else. And so, you know, when I was confronted with this in Scripture, you know, I had tried so many things. I had tried to stop cold turkey. I had tried being accountable to leaders and mentors in my life. I had tried counseling. You know, I went through family therapy for many different reasons, but, you know, I saw people and sat down with people and talked with them and, you know, confessed my addiction to sexual things. And I also had tried classes and courses on sexual bondage and addictions. And, you know, like, even though I was addicted, like knowing I was addicted, I still wanted to be free. It didn't make me feel any better, even though that was the promise of consuming pornography and acting out with masturbation. I often felt worse and dirtier the more I consumed pornography. But that freshman year at Bible college changed the course of my life forever, because I was in that dorm room all by myself, and the Lord met me right where I was. Again, at this point, I had been a part of accountability groups. I was going through a course called the Conquer series, which I will link in the description below. There's some resources in there. But I had a group leader that was helping us overcome and fight these addictions that we were facing. It was an all-men's group. And I was talking to friends, seeking answers to the reasons why I was acting out this way. A lot of it came from my upbringing, and just the bullying was a big part of that. And just the pain from a lot of woundedness and a lot of things in my heart that I didn't know how to cope with, and I didn't know how to deal with in a healthy way. And so, again, as I'm sitting in my dorm room, I open up the Bible to read in John chapter 8 about the account of the adulterous woman. And Jesus walked me through that story as if I were that woman. I remember he told me that I had sinned and that I was caught literally in the act of watching porn and masturbating. And he told me that my accusers are not here, but he's here. And he wanted to free me from the thing that had kept me bound for so long. And it was like he was telling me the story. Like, Joe, where are your accusers? Has no one condemned you? And he told me to go and to sin no more. And the moment that I finished reading that account, something shifted inside my heart. I went from unquenchable addiction to complete freedom. I no longer saw women for what they could do for me. I know that's really hard to understand, but I saw how beautiful they were, and they were made in God's image. I no longer had lust anytime I looked at a woman. And I no longer had the desire to watch porn or masturbate to relieve myself of any pain that I experienced further in my life. And this is pretty incredible, because the freedom that I had found was just a few short days before I met my wife. And I told God before I went to college that I wanted to be free from porn for good, because I didn't want to bring this into a family or marriage. And I won't ever forget that. Before I left to Bible college, I told him, Lord, I don't want to be bound to this. I don't want to be addicted. I was fighting it. I was struggling with it. It's one thing if you're giving into it all the time and it's just whatever. But it was something that I was like, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to keep going to this. I don't want to be bound to this. Please free me. And he heard me. He heard my cry for help. And he was faithful to bring me healing in my heart and freedom from a decade-long addiction. From the time I was 11 until I was 20 or 21, I was addicted to it. And it was something that no matter how hard I tried, I could white knuckle it all I wanted. I could try to force it to go away. And I could talk to all the people in the world. I could talk to mentors and pastors and leaders and teachers, and they would be there for me the best they could. But as soon as they weren't there, it was like I was back to my old habits and things that I needed to do to cope and make myself feel just a tiny bit better, because the pain was too much to handle. But I want to tell you today that Jesus is the true freedom that I found from my addiction to pornography. And I don't make these videos because I'm boasting in myself, because I think that I'm some amazing person that is able to give you 5 steps to freedom, or, follow these 7 rules and magically you're going to be better. There's nothing in myself that enabled me to overcome that addiction. I had tried everything under the sun to free me from my habits and unhealthy coping mechanisms. No person could help me. No program could help me. No habit-changing course could help me. No self-help book could help me. No popular speaker or preacher or teacher or pastor or poet. Nobody could help me. It was only Jesus himself that truly brought me real and lasting freedom. And before I fully surrendered that part of my life to Jesus, it felt like I was a dog on a retractable leash, just getting temporary freedom for short periods of time. Or like a prisoner let out of their jail cell for recreation time, but just to be put back in the same cell just a few hours later. I'm telling you today that my freedom was only found in Jesus Christ. And I boast about God. You can experience the same freedom I have through Jesus. Like, I'm making this video right now because I don't want you to have to live in bondage. Like, I don't want you to have to live addicted to pornography anymore. If you are waiting for a sign, this is your sign. This video is your sign that freedom is possible. My life is a testimony of what Jesus can do with a man that's submitted and says, I want all that you have for me. I want complete freedom. I want total freedom. And I want Jesus to have his way in me. You don't have to be bound to masturbation and acting out in your loneliness or insecurities. And I know it's hard. It's a hard pill to swallow. Like facing up to your unhealthy behavior, facing up to your addictions, facing up to your pain and the deep things that are going on inside of your heart and your mind, like the pain of your past, the way people have treated you, the way people have degraded you and harmed you with their words, with their fists, whatever that looks like for you, you can be free. And Jesus will not only free you from it, but change your desires and give you his spirit to help you every day to choose to live in freedom. And I can tell you that it's been 7 years that I found complete and total freedom from this thing. Now, I'm not saying there hasn't been temptations along the way. Temptation always comes. Always. But I am free. And I am allowed to live in that grace and that freedom to stay in this place where I don't have to go back to that place, where Jesus is enough for me. Jesus is everything that I need. He's complete and total freedom. And what I lacked in the world, what I lacked in my addiction, was actually found in Jesus himself, right? It's the Bible says to taste and see that the Lord is good. And I'm here to tell you today that I've tasted and I've seen. And freedom is real and it can be yours. If you're watching this video right now and you think, man, I can't be free. There's no way I can stop lusting. There's no way I can look at women with clean eyes and a pure heart. Jesus can do that. And you can finally live pure. I'm not saying it's easy. By no means is it easy. Every day I choose to love Jesus, love my wife, and to look at other women with a pure heart and to ask him when I find myself maybe being tempted to look at something I shouldn't. Lord, help me. Jesus, protect my eyes, protect my heart, protect my ears. Guide me in the way that is pleasing to you. And I know that this road of freedom is possible for you. It really is. And so if you found value in today's video, smash that like button, because I know more people just like you and me need to hear stuff like this. And if you like stories just like this one, check out this video right here where I share my own personal story of how Jesus changed my life and saved me. And I'll see you guys in the next video.